If you had to speak to your grandchildren, I'm thinking you have grandchildren, you're probably too young to have them, but if you did have them, what would you say to them about Brexit? How's it, Daddy, Granddad, what's up with Brexit? How's it going so far? What's your short answer to them?
Well, I'd say, first of all, we've delivered what we wanted, which was taken back control of our laws, our borders, and our money. That means that now...
Well, we had control of our money before, didn't we? I mean, we weren't in the...
We had turned over 12 billion a year to the EU net.
Yeah, but that's not control of our money. That was the entrance fee we had to pay.
Sorry, do you want me to answer the question?
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, you're on the air. Please.
You take back control.
Yeah.
It's now up to Parliament and government how we exercise that control. If you don't like it, you can chuck the blighters out. We could never chuck the commissioners of the EU out before. So we've got democratic control. We may like how it's being used or not, but they're accountable to us. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's just democracy. Has it affected people's real lives? Well, it's saved lots of lives. There are hundreds, possibly thousands of people alive today who wouldn't be if we'd remained in the EU.
How?
Well, I'm just about to tell you. Because if we had, we would not have been able to produce, authorize, and roll out vaccines nearly as fast as we did. And at the time that we did, it mattered. Every day mattered, because every day hundreds of people were dying of COVID. So that is important if you value human lives. No one really pretends that if we'd remained in the European Union, we could have done it as fast or as effectively. And indeed, most of the Euro enthusiasts were saying we should have, despite having left, joined in with their system, which turned out to be slower.
But can I just pick you up on that a little bit, because I know that's one of the the arguments mostly used, that if we were still in the EU, we would have not developed our own vaccine program. I wonder if that's actually true, because there's nothing that the EU wouldn't have stopped us from developing the Oxford vaccine. We would have done both. We would have developed our vaccine as we've always done. It wasn't our own thing, and we would have bought into the EU scheme as well. We would have had both.
No, we either had to operate our own development, authorization and procurement system, or opt back into the EU system.
Is that really true? Did we have to? Would that have been the choice?
Most pro-European politicians at the beginning were arguing that. People like...
Yeah, but that's a different thing, whether you're arguing it or not. But was it actually true that we would have had to opt out of our own thing if we'd opted into their thing? I'm just asking.
Well, it is true that we would have been part of their procurement program if we'd remained in.
Yeah.
Legally, we could probably have opted out of it. But would we have done so? No country did. And no pro-European politician in this country urged us to stay outside. Indeed, they were doing the reverse. They were saying that even though we're not part of Europe, we should have joined their procurement scheme.
Okay, and so...
Including Keir Starmer, including Leila Moran of the Lib Dems, including the Labour EU spokesman. So it is just unrealistic to suggest that people who want us to stay in Europe would ever have authorised us opting out of their programme, as no European politician did.
Okay. We'll get on to all the other benefits of Brexit in a minute. But just quickly, just in terms of the casualty rates of COVID, we fared pretty badly, even with our own vaccine. And no country came out of this smelling of roses, let's be honest. So even if we did have this amazing ability to save hundreds of thousands of lives with the Oxford vaccine, we still did pretty badly, didn't we?
The whole procurement process. If you remember, we were way ahead, not just with the Oxford vaccine, but with others. And the EU was trying to stop.
But a lot of people died in this country despite all that.
Oh, I did. I'm the great critic of what we did. I think we should have followed the Swedish route, but we didn't, in terms of lockdowns and so on. But that's a rather different issue.
Let's get on to the other benefits. What are the other benefits of Brexit then that you would chalk up?
Well, we've saved money. If we'd remained in, we would certainly have had to be part of their COVID response program, which is 800 billion.
Yeah.
We'd have had to pay 14% of that. We would certainly have got only a fraction of that back. Our annual contribution would have been last year £12.6 billion. That's 200 net. The net, that is, of any money that comes back to us under the old arrangements, which is.
And yet our debt ratio is the worst it's been. So that it's been in a very long time. The pound is tanked. The economy is gloomy. I know that there are global reasons for this, the war in Ukraine, the recovery from the pandemic, but even economists who are close, who like Brexit, are saying that Brexit has made the numbers that are pretty bad everywhere worse in this country. Would you argue with that?
Well, name me an economist that says that is pro-Brexit.
Alistair, what's his name from the Daily Telegraph?
No, he's very gloomy. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's not saying it's all Brexit. He's saying that Brexit has made it more difficult for us.
He's saying that we have failed to take enough advantage of Brexit. Yeah. I agree we should have taken more. I'm just saying that...
So the red tape, for instance, the red tape is extraordinary. If you talk to small businesses, I'm sure you do all the time, the amount of red tape they have to now deal with, bureaucracy, filling out of forms just to, import, some baby clothes to Europe or buy stuff in, is just appalling compared to what it was before. That was never the plan, was it?
It was always accepted that we would end up with a trade arrangement, we hoped, similar between ourselves and our continental neighbours, similar to that between Canada and its continental neighbour, America. And that is the situation. Now, there were fears that this would depress our exports to Europe relative to our exports to the rest of the world. Actually, that hasn't happened. I get every quarter from the House of Lords Research Department a graph showing how our exports to Europe have gone relative to our exports to the rest of the world. Our exports to Europe have actually done slightly better, to my surprise, to your surprise, I suspect, than our exports to the rest of the world. So it hasn't had that negative effect in aggregate. Yeah. You're right. There have been problems for small firms, and I've been involved in some of them. But collectively, they have been dwarfed by other factors, and overall, our exports to the EU have done less badly, if you like, than our exports to the rest of the world.
But it doesn't feel, whatever metric you look at, finally and briefly, whatever metric you look at, none of it feels as if it's going our way at the moment.
Well, I feel that democracy is good. I feel saving lives is good. I feel saving money is good.
But we had democracy before, and we were saving lives. I mean, I'm just saying in terms of the economic promises that were made, promises that were made by people like you in the run-up to the vote, it doesn't feel as if it's gone according to plan. Let's be honest.
I believe that we can do more. We have successes under our belt. We can have more.
Okay.